Not ready your weapons, King Athel. I did not come to fight you. I came to measure you.
Then measure me carefully, Queen, because I will not kneel for the result.
Those who do not kneel are always the most interesting to break.
Your fleet stands ready, but my resolve is unshaken.
Welcome to Human Parallax, where ordinary eyes can see the extraordinary. The ground beneath my boots was cold and uneven, scarred by old wars long forgotten by those who survived them. I pressed my heel down slowly, feeling the resistance of soil that had once tasted fear and blood, mine included. The wind moved across the abandoned field like a quiet witness, lifting dust that still clung to broken weapons half buried in the earth. "This place has not forgiven us," I murmured. Behind me, no one answered. There was no court here, no guards, no banners. Just me and memory. I remembered the first time my hands shook while holding a blade. I remembered how the ground absorbed what spilled from my skin without protest. It did not judge. It only remembered. Blood teaches faster than words ever can. I stood there now as a retired king, armor long set aside, crown absent by choice. Yet the boy I had been still walked these fields ahead of me, barefoot in memory, eyes wide and uncertain. "You are standing where you fell," my younger self whispered in my thoughts. "I know," I replied aloud, surprising myself. Time had not erased the path. It only layered it. Every step I took now overlapped with smaller footprints I could no longer see but never forgot. I had ruled worlds, negotiated with empires, survived trials that reshaped humanity's place in the stars. Yet this place still reduced me to breath and heartbeat. I had grown older. I had not grown free. King Draven never comforted me when I bled. He stood at the edge of the training field, hands clasped behind his back, eyes steady. When I looked to him for words, he gave none. "Stand," he said once, quietly. "I can't," I answered, my voice breaking. "You will," he replied. That was all. Years later, I finally asked him why. "You did not need comfort," he told me, his voice low. "You needed to learn that no one would carry you when it mattered." I hated him for that silence as a boy. As a king, I understood it too well. Queen Seren knelt beside me the night after my first failure. She did not scold me. She did not praise me either. She cleaned my wounds herself. "You are angry," she said softly. "I'm afraid," I admitted. She tied the cloth with steady hands. "Good. Fear means you are still choosing." "Choosing what?" She met my eyes. "Whether to rise." My mother never pushed me forward. She simply refused to pull me back. Where my father hardened me, she steadied me. Between them, I learned balance. Prince Finn laughed where I watched. He ran through the halls without counting exits. He trusted smiles. He believed voices that sounded kind. "You think too much," he once told me, grinning. "And you think too little," I replied. He laughed harder. I envied him. I feared for him. Innocence survives only until it is noticed. I learned early that watching was safer than hoping. Finn learned later. Too late to keep him untouched. Advisor Liss spoke often. I listened rarely. "Power is not held," he told me once. "It is endured." I did not understand then. Now, standing alone beneath an open sky scarred by memory, his words echoed louder than any command. Endurance had shaped me more than victory ever did. Liss had seen it before I had. Servant Kieran never raised his voice. He handed me water when my hands shook. He stepped between me and blows meant for others without being asked. "Why?" I once asked him. He shrugged. "Because you would have done the same." I had not realized that I already was. History remembers kings. I remember Kieran. The alien queen was spoken of in whispers long before her shadow crossed our skies. She does not conquer, Advisor Liss warned. She tests. My father said nothing. My mother closed her eyes. Finn asked if she could be defeated. No one answered him. Fear grows fastest in silence. I thought hardship was normal. I thought discipline was tradition. I did not realize I was being measured. When the sky changed color years later, I understood. The trials had begun long before the queen arrived. I had been preparing without knowing why. I exhaled slowly and lifted my boot from the soil. Some trials are not announced. Some judgments begin before the first word is spoken. I had been a boy. That had never protected me. The sky shifted before the ships even landed. Clouds folded inward, darkening into unfamiliar shades that bent the light itself. I felt it before anyone spoke, a pressure behind my eyes that told me this moment would not pass cleanly. "They're here," Prince Finn whispered. King Draven said nothing. His silence felt heavier than armor. The alien vessels descended without sound, forming a wide circle in the open field. No banners. No raised platforms. Just space cleared by fear. I tightened my grip on my cloak, aware that every breath felt louder than it should have. Something ancient was arriving, and it did not care how we welcomed it. The alien queen stepped onto the ground alone. No throne followed her. No guards. No symbols of rank. She stood still, hands at her sides, eyes scanning nothing and everything at once. Finn leaned closer. "That's it. That's enough," Advisor Liss murmured. I understood why in that moment. Power that needs no display is the kind that rewrites rules. The queen did not announce herself. She did not demand attention. Yet the entire field bent toward her presence. I realized then that ceremony was a weakness she had already stripped away. I stepped forward without being told. Our traditions demanded words, explanations, gestures of respect. Hers demanded nothing. The air between us tightened, thick with unspoken measures. "This isn't how negotiations begin," Finn muttered. "No," I replied quietly. "This is how judgments begin." I felt suddenly exposed, like our customs were fragile things easily broken. Human strength relied on agreement. Hers did not. Two worlds faced each other, and neither blinked. King Draven raised a single hand. The soldiers behind us halted. No weapons were drawn. "Send the boy," Advisor Liss asked softly, disbelief clear. "Yes," my father replied. "Send my son." I turned to him. "You're certain?" He met my eyes at last. "War would cost us everything. This may not." That was when I understood the gamble. He was not protecting me. He was placing me where the loss would be contained. I nodded once and stepped forward, heart steady but heavy. Queen Seren did not stop me. Her hands were folded, her face calm, but her eyes followed every step I took. I paused beside her. "Mother." She shook her head slightly. "Go." That single word carried fear and faith in equal measure. She trusted what I had become more than what she feared to lose. I moved on, carrying her silence with me. I stood before the alien queen, waiting for her to speak. She did not. Her gaze moved slowly, measuring my stance, my breath, the way my shoulders settled. I felt dissected without a single word spoken. "Say something," Finn whispered behind me. The queen tilted her head, as if she had heard him. Still, she remained silent. I realized then that questions invite answers. Observation invites truth. I took one step closer. No one commanded it. No signal was given. Yet the ground felt final beneath my foot. "Careful," Advisor Liss warned. I ignored him. Each movement carried weight, as if retreat would shatter something unseen. I felt the pull of instinct urging me to draw steel, to assert presence the human way. Instead, I stood still. Sometimes restraint is louder than threat. Servant Kieran stepped beside me without permission. He held out a simple flask. "Drink," he said. I hesitated, then accepted it. The water was cool, grounding. The Queen watched him closely. No punishment followed. No reaction at all. Yet I felt something shift. Under alien eyes, a small human act had been noticed. Not weakness. Not defiance. The longer the silence stretched, the clearer it became. She was not testing my strength. She was testing how long I could endure uncertainty without breaking posture, without reaching for comfort or violence. My legs burned. My hands trembled. I held still. Power here was patience. Survival was control, and my fingers brushed the hilt at my side. Every lesson screamed for readiness. Every instinct demanded action. "No," I told myself. I let my hand fall. The Queen's eyes flicked to the movement, then back to my face. I felt exposed, yet oddly affirmed. I had chosen restraint when no one demanded it. Her gaze settled fully on me at last. It felt like standing beneath a collapsing sky. I could not hide, could not explain, could not bargain. Finn shifted behind me. "Athel." "Stop," King Draven said. The Queen stepped closer, close enough that I could see my reflection in her eyes. No judgment was spoken. None was needed. Understanding arrived like a quiet blow. This was not about winning. It was about lasting. I lifted my chin, steadying my breath. Whatever came next would not be survived by force, only by restraint. The trials began without warning. No speech, no preparation. The ground itself became instruction. When I stumbled, no one corrected me. When I bled, no one paused. "Move," a cold voice echoed from unseen speakers. Move where? How fast? For how long? I understood then. Questions were irrelevant. Survival was the lesson. Finn whispered, "This isn't training." "It is," I replied, forcing myself upright. "Just not for mercy." The first rule was clear. Comfort would not be provided. It would be punished. Rest was an invitation to fail. When I slowed, the ground shifted beneath my feet. When I knelt, alarms screamed. I stopped sleeping when I realized exhaustion was safer than pause. "Sit for a moment," Finn begged. "No," I said, pulling him up. "They're watching." I felt eyes everywhere, measuring how long we resisted the instinct to recover. I rejected comfort not out of pride, but necessity. Weakness here did not look like collapse. It looked like stopping. Commands were rare. Silence was constant. "Run." "How far?" Finn asked once. No answer came. That silence weighed heavier than shouted orders. It forced choice, guesswork, responsibility. "Keep moving," I told him, unsure if I was saving us or condemning us. Pain followed mistakes quickly. Silence let them linger. I learned that uncertainty sharpens discipline faster than cruelty ever could. Finn collapsed mid-trial. I turned toward him instinctively. "Do not move," the system warned. He tried to rise. Failed. "Athel," he gasped. I stood frozen, obedience screaming in one ear, blood in the other. "Help him," my heart demanded. "Stand still," the rules replied. I stepped forward anyway. That was the moment I chose family over permission. They punished me, not Finn. I was dragged from the field, restraints biting deep. Pain followed, precise and unrelenting. "Say it was him," a voice offered. "Say he disobeyed." "I did," I said. "Punish me." Finn shouted my name. I didn't look back. That choice altered something permanent inside me. I learned leadership sometimes begins with absorbing pain meant for others. Through it all, the alien queen remained distant. She did not intervene, did not command, did not react. She could stop this, Finn whispered later. Yes, I replied. And she chooses not to. Authority here lived inside structure, not presence. The rules were the Queen's voice. I understood then, mercy was not absent. It was deliberately withheld. Advisor Liss confronted the observers openly. This will break them, he said. There are limits. No response came. Later, he stood beside me, voice low. I've said what I can. And now? I asked. Now I endure, he replied. His silence afterward taught me something brutal. Wisdom does not always stop injustice. Sometimes it survives it. King Draven never intervened. I searched for him during the trials, desperate for a signal. None came. After one collapse, I shouted, "Are you watching?" "Yes," he answered calmly. "Then stop this." "No," he said. That single refusal reshaped my understanding of rule. Leadership does not always rescue. Sometimes it witnesses and remembers. Queen Seren waited near the trial grounds through the night. She did not plead. She did not cry. When I passed her, bruised and shaking, she touched my arm lightly. "You are still here," she said. "That's all?" I asked. "That is everything," she replied. Her strength was quiet, unmovable, and unarmed. It taught me endurance without bitterness. Pain stripped away excess thought. I stopped hoping, stopped resisting. I focused on breath, balance, and control. Again, the system ordered. I obeyed without resentment. Discipline replaced pride. Control replaced anger. Pain became information, not punishment. Each failure carved something new into me. I broke expectations, broke fear, broke the boy I had been. "Why do you keep standing?" Finn asked quietly. "Because falling taught me how," I answered. Becoming was not growth. It was subtraction. I fell often. Each time, rising became simpler, closer to instinct, less defiant. I learned to move with the ground, not against it. Endurance was alignment, not force. Winning stopped mattering. Lasting did. As the trials continued, I understood humanity would not be measured by dominance here, but by how long it refused to disappear. I lifted my head and waited for what came next. The final trial did not begin with an announcement. It began with absence. No soldiers. No observers. No family standing behind me. The field was empty except for the ground beneath my feet and the sky pressing down like a held breath. "This is it," I said quietly. No one answered. The silence told me everything. There would be no rescue, no appeal. Whatever happened here would belong to me alone, and whatever remained of me afterward would be all I carried forward. The alien queen stepped into the open space and stopped a few paces away. She looked at me the way one looks at something unfinished. "Boy," she said. The word struck harder than any blow. Not prince. Not warrior. Not human representative. Boy. I straightened my back instinctively. "I stand for my people." She tilted her head slightly. "You stand as what you truly are." Her voice was calm, precise. It stripped away armor I was no longer wearing. Anger surged before I could stop it. "I have bled," I said. "I have endured." She did not argue. She did not deny it. "And yet," she replied, "you are still becoming." The truth of it burned. All my discipline, all my restraint, reduced to a single reminder, I was not finished. The pain of that realization cut deeper than any injury the trials had given me. She gestured toward the open field. "One life," she said. "Yours." Her hand moved, and the air seemed to fold inward. I felt it immediately, a pressure that promised survival if I stepped forward, and destruction if I did not. "Or many," she continued. "There's no riddle, no complexity, just a line drawn cleanly across my future." I swallowed hard. Simplicity leaves no room to hide. In that moment, faces rose unbidden. King Draven, standing silent, watching without interference. Queen Seren, hands folded, waiting without complaint. Finn, laughing once, before learning to watch his step. Their lives balanced on a choice they would never see me make. "You hesitate," the Queen observed. "I am choosing," I replied, voice steady despite the storm inside me. Each breath felt counted. Fear is honest. It does not pretend. "Run," it urged. "Live. Survive." My body tensed, ready to obey the oldest command of all. "No one would blame you," the Queen said softly. That was the most dangerous thing she could have offered. I closed my eyes for a heartbeat and remembered the trials. Remembered standing still while pain taught me discipline. I opened my eyes again. "I will not trade their future for my breath," I said. The words settled between us, final and heavy. The Queen studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded once. "So be it." Pain arrived instantly, clean, precise, overwhelming. I did not scream. I did not fall. I accepted it as the cost I had named. Some choices are not brave. They are simply unavoidable. When it ended, I collapsed to one knee. The ground was warm beneath my palm. I could feel it, something altered, something taken that would not return. I pressed my hand to my side and felt the scar forming, deep and unmistakable. "This mark," the Queen said, "will remain." "I know," I replied through clenched teeth. It was proof, not of victory, but of price. As the pain dulled, I realized something else had faded with it. The boy who hoped survival meant safety was gone. The part of me that believed endurance would spare innocence had been stripped away. I breathed slowly, evenly. Whatever remained was harder, quieter, ready. She did not praise me. She did not condemn me. She only watched, eyes unreadable. "Is it done?" I asked. "Yes," she replied. Nothing more. Her silence carried more weight than applause ever could. The pressure lifted. The field felt wider. The sky lighter. No banners fell. No horns sounded. I stood alone, scarred and breathing, understanding fully what had been taken, and what had been spared. The Queen turned away. I did not follow. As she vanished from the field, clarity settled over me. She had not crowned me. She had not elevated me. She had tested whether I would endure loss without surrendering what mattered. I rose slowly, steady on my feet. I was not a king yet, but I was no longer breakable. The camps did not celebrate. Fires burned low. Voices stayed hushed. Survivors moved carefully, as if loud joy might invite loss back into the night. I walked among them slowly, feeling the weight of survival settle without relief. "We're alive," Prince Finn said softly beside me. "Yes," I replied. "That is all." No cheers followed. No raised banners. Survival had arrived without triumph, and silence felt more honest than praise. We had not escaped unchanged. The quiet knew that, even if we pretended not to. Alien observers moved through the camp perimeter, their posture different now. No weapons raised. No distance demanded. One of them inclined its head toward me. Not submission. Not alliance. Respect. "They're watching us," Finn whispered. "They always were," I said. Now they understand what they're seeing. Fear had once shaped their gaze. Now calculation and acknowledgement replaced it. Humanity had not impressed them by power, but by refusal to collapse. King Draven stood near the edge of the camp, hands clasped behind his back as always. "You did what had to be done," he said. "That was all. No pride. No apology." I nodded, understanding fully for the first time. Leadership was not about comfort. It was about choosing the least ruinous path and carrying its cost quietly. Those words stayed with me long after the fires went out. Queen Seren met me without rushing forward. Her eyes traced the scar at my side, then returned to my face. "You are here," she said. "I am," I answered. She exhaled slowly, steadying herself. Grief and pride lived together in her posture, neither overpowering the other. "We will mourn what was taken," she said, "and we will stand for what remains." In that balance, I learned strength did not require denial. Finn moved differently now. Slower. More aware. "You're quiet," I said. "So are you," he replied. We shared a look and let the moment pass. Some changes demand respect, not questions. Innocence had left him, not in pieces, but all at once. He was still my brother. Just no longer a boy. Advisor Liss sat alone with tablets spread before him, hands moving quickly. "Planning already?" I asked. "For prevention," he replied. "If we survive again, it should not be by accident." "Do you think they'll matter?" "I hope not," he said. "That's why I'm writing them." Doctrine followed endurance. Humanity learned not from victory, but from close calls that left scars worth remembering. I stopped beside a medic tending to a soldier missing an arm. "Will you fight again?" I asked him. He smiled faintly. "If there's something worth standing for." Pain lingered everywhere, not as defeat, but as testimony. Survival was not clean. It left marks that could not be ignored or polished away. I carried that truth with me as I moved on. The alien queen appeared at the edge of the camp, alone. "You endured," she said. "No more. No less. For now," she added. "What happens next?" I asked. She studied me carefully. "That depends on whether your kind remembers what this cost." Then she was gone. Warning and acknowledgement delivered together. As night settled, human and alien camps remained separate, yet closer than before. No treaties signed. No celebrations planned. Just understanding. We had not proven superiority. We had proven endurance. And that was enough to alter how the galaxy would approach us. Respect does not require applause. I stood beneath the open sky and breathed carefully. We did not win. We endured. And endurance reshaped everything that followed. I turned back toward the quiet camp, knowing the story was not over, only understood. I returned alone. The abandoned battlefield greeted me without ceremony, just as it had when my story first bent toward blood and discipline. The ground was quiet now, stripped of bodies and banners, yet heavy with memory. I stepped carefully, feeling how the earth dipped and rose where men once fell. "So much began here," I said to the wind. It did not answer, but it did not forget either. Neither did I. I sat on a broken stone and poured tea from a small travel flask. Steam rose, thin and patient, curling into the morning air. The wind passed through the field, whispering over dents in the soil and grooves left by old blades. "You still come here?" Prince Finn had asked earlier. "Yes," I had replied. "It keeps me honest." The tea was bitter. I drank it anyway. Reflection rarely tastes sweet. I stood and walked again, my hand brushing the scar at my side without thought. The land answered with its own marks, craters softened by time, trenches half filled by wind-blown dust. "We heal," I said quietly, But we do not erase. Pain had shaped both of us. Mine was hidden beneath cloth and memory. The lands lay open, a warning to anyone willing to look. Scars are not failures. They are records. I stopped where Kieran once stood between me and a blow meant for another. They tell your story now, I murmured. Servant Kieran, once unseen, was spoken of in halls and camps alike. Children repeated his name as if it belonged to legend, not labor. He never asked to be remembered, Queen Seren had once said. No, I answered. He simply stood. History finally learned to notice those who serve without noise. Beyond our world, the alien queen had become a subject of study. Advisor Liss had shown me reports. They teach her trials now, he said. In academies. As warnings. And lessons. I asked. Yes, he admitted. Mostly that endurance reshapes civilizations. Fear fades when understanding replaces it. But understanding carries its own danger. Trials repeated lose their mystery, not their cost. I wondered who would pay it next. I closed my eyes and listened to the wind again. Some trials do not crown victors. They carve survivors. I had spent years believing strength was proven through triumph. The alien queen taught me otherwise. Endurance leaves marks deeper than victory ever could. We were never meant to win, I said aloud. Only to last. The ground seemed to agree. I finished the tea and stood, brushing dust from my hands. The field lay quiet behind me, patient as ever. Are we done? Prince Finn had asked once. No, I had answered then, as I did now in my thoughts. We're remembered. As I turned away, a familiar weight settled in my chest. Not fear, but certainty. Trials return. They always do. And somewhere, another child was already being watched.